This is a Dark Illumination Report Extra with RJ Womack.
Hey everybody, thanks for joining me for another podcast. This is RJ, otherwise known as Brother Nero, and this is obviously the Dark Illumination Report podcast. The podcast where we try to put the focus back on the religious worship of Satan and demons, and we try to occasionally give our fellow Satanists, our brothers and sisters in Satan, some advice that will help them hopefully improve their life. On today's episode, I'm going to be answering a question from Chris. He asked me, what do I think of certain leaders in the Satanic community that seem to be about making money and commercialism and all that, but they seem to be very popular. And I'm not going to name any specific people by name, because I used to do that in the past when I was much younger, and all it does is start animosity. And my point in talking about people is not to call them out or put them on blast. It's more as a teaching tool. So I want to judge people based on religious principles, not based on what I think about them personally. For example, I would never dox somebody. I would never put pictures of their family on Facebook or something and call them out or judge them on their personal situations. Like if they're, there are Satanists out there that will say, oh, so-and-so, she's a fat bitch or something like that. Or they'll start talking about the people's kids or whatever, or they'll talk about a disability they have, or they'll say, oh, they're on benefits or they're on welfare or whatever they might say. I'm not like that. I don't do that. I try to make the arguments about religious principles, because to me it doesn't matter whether you come from the projects or whether you live in a mansion. If you believe in Satan and you love Satan and you want to serve the kingdom, that's all that matters to me. It doesn't matter what country you come from. It doesn't matter what race you are. It doesn't matter what your orientation is. I don't even give a fuck whether you voted for Bernie Sanders or Donald Trump. I don't care, because none of that stuff matters in terms of religion. Now, that doesn't mean I don't have political views, but my political views are irrelevant when it comes to religion, because my dedication to Satan and his kingdom comes first before all that other stuff. To me, the one nation that I'm dedicated to beyond being an American, which I'm very patriotic. I come from a military family, so I'm very patriotic. But my dedication, first and foremost, and my loyalty is to Satan's kingdom. That's my kingdom, and that's my Lord. That's my king. So that's kind of the way I look at it. So all this, I voted for Bernie Sanders or I voted for Donald Trump, all this crazy crap doesn't matter to me in terms of a coven or a group, because in the end, what I'm going to judge a situation on is what I consider to be satanic principles. It's not going to be based on a political philosophy. Although I have said that I think Satanism is more libertarian than anything else. That does not mean that I'm endorsing a libertarian political platform. It's just the nature of the philosophy seems to be more libertarian than it is either conservative or liberal. That's my opinion. But anyway, but that's my whole point. I don't want to make this show about politics or about personal shit. And I don't care where someone comes from or that kind of stuff. I care about who they are as a person. Are they a decent person, someone you would like to invite to your house and have a beer with? Are they the type of person that you could invite to your house and they're not going to steal your shit, or they're not going to try to con you? Or can you trust them to stay at your house and not wake up in the middle of the night with them trying to kill you? That kind of thing. That's more what I'm worried about. And do they believe in Satan than I am about all this other bullshit that's out there. And that's the problem, that the satanic religion has become about bullshit and not about Satanism. It's become about atheism and non-spiritual beliefs. And what I'm about is the spiritual. Now, that doesn't mean there's not a place for the material. In fact, there is. And that's the key difference in the philosophy that I present on this podcast. And that is that I believe Satan is the god of the material world. Satan is a god of the spiritual. And the way to serve him best, in my opinion. And this is another thing. I don't speak in absolutes. I don't try to speak for every Satanist. I'm giving you my opinion based on my experience. And then you have to decide whether the advice I'm giving you is worth listening to. It is not my place to speak in absolute terms and say, if you don't do things exactly the way that I say to do them, then you're not a Satanist. That's not my place. That is not my place at all. So I want you to understand, because somebody else asked me, well, what do you consider satanic morals? Well, first of all, I consider balancing the material world and the spiritual world and working with one foot in the material world and one foot in the spirit world is being a true Satanist, because I believe Satan has both intellectual aspects to his nature and he has animalistic aspects to his nature. I think part of him is very, very cerebral, and part of him is very, very animalistic. And when Satanists forget that fact, and when they don't realize he's a God of nature and a God of knowledge and wisdom, that's when they get out of balance. So what I try to tell people all the time is you need to balance yourself out. You need to be intellectual. You need to be in tune with nature and your instincts, and you need to do both of those things. And if you leave one aspect out, you're not really getting the true satanic experience. As I've said to people, I believe that the type of Satanism that I advocate for is a type of Satanism that is more in line with ancient paganism than it is with modern satanic ideas or contemporary satanic ideas. By that I mean the Church of Satan, the Temple of Set, even Thelema and Crowley, although there are elements of my practice that have been influenced by Thelema, because I don't know if you know this, but some of you may not know this, but I was a member of the Caliphate OTO, and I've been a member of the Temple of Set, not a ranking member in the Temple of Set, but I was a member of the Temple of Set. So I've been involved in different organizations, and I learned things from both of them, and I had good experiences. And as far as the Caliphate OTO, because I know somebody's going to ask me this, what was my experience like? And I found them to be genuine people who were genuine in their beliefs, and they were nice people, and they were good to me, and I don't have anything negative to say about them, but I just was too satanic. I was more satanic than I was a Thelemite, and it just wasn't right for me. I'm a an unapologetic devil worshiper who believes in more of a medieval style of Satanism and traditional witchcraft in the old ways, and that's just the way it is. So it didn't work out for me, but there's nothing wrong with them if you're a Thelemite. I mean, I have no problem with them. I haven't been a member for years, so I don't know what they're like now. I don't know what their organizational structure is. I don't know, anything about their temples or anything like that. So I can't speak to them now, but when I was there, the people were nothing but nice and kind and genuine. So that's my point of view on it. Now I'm getting back to the actual original question, and the original question was, how do I feel about certain people on Facebook that have a lot of followers and a big audience? And I'm not going to speak to anybody specifically. I will say, just remember one thing. Just because something is popular on the internet doesn't mean it's accurate. It doesn't mean it's right. It just means it's popular. Give you a perfect example. There are many female Satanists that talk a lot of shit that don't know anything about what they're talking about, who give people wrong information, who tell people it's okay to worship demons and angels, and that the demons don't care about people worshiping angels, and Satan's not bothered, and you can do both, and all this crazy UFO crap and stuff like that. And the only reason that they have so many followers is because, they are attractive, and that's not right. That's not a reason to follow somebody. Just because somebody's attractive doesn't mean they know the first thing about spirituality. And a lot of these women, they'll go out of their way to attract a male audience, a young male audience, by showing their tits or showing more than that. And it's pretty sickening that young male Satanists are so distracted by that and don't understand that, that's not a way to connect with Satan. I'm sorry. That's where they get into this whole "you're my goddess" crap, because they act like they've never been laid before. And that's not the kind of thing that I believe in. And I've even told friends mockingly, I've said, what I should do to get my message out there, to get more people to believe in Satan and practice Satanism, I should find me some really attractive young 20-something girls, and I should write lectures for them and have them give them and preach it to the masses and see how big the following gets. The thing is, because it's just the way it is. People are shallow. They're not about substance. They're not about true devotion to Satan. And I don't have anything against people making money. Don't get me wrong. I'm not anti-capitalism. I'm not anti-commercialism. And I think every Satanist should be as rich or as powerful as they want to be. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I think it's wrong of people to shame people who want to be rich and powerful. But I think you have to look at what people do with their money. It's like I heard somebody say once, people always talk about how evil corporations are. Well, corporations are just legal structures. What makes a corporation's character is the people involved in it. And the same thing is true for satanic organizations. If the people involved in a satanic organization have ulterior motives that are not satanic, or have ulterior motives that have nothing to do with bringing people to Satan, then they're going to be corrupt. The organization is going to be corrupt, right? But if they have good motives, then the coven or the magical order or the religious order will have good motives and have good character. So it's not the organizational structure. It's not the fact that they're business structured. It's the fact that the people involved in the organization are what determines the character of the organization. It's the intent behind what they do, that makes them, makes the organization what it is. So as far as people making money, I mean, the people that you mention, they are motivated by money. There's no genuine belief in Satan as far as I can tell. I mean, some of the ones you mentioned, I don't know personally who they are. I don't know anything about them. You have to understand that in the last couple of months, I've gotten involved on Facebook because I feel guilty about not ministering to people and not keeping my word to Satan. I don't like Facebook. I don't like social media. I think it's full of fake people who don't really believe in Satan and disrespect Satan on a daily basis. I believe that 99% of the people who claim to worship Satan don't actually worship Satan. It's all about getting attention and it's all about show. So I despise social media in many ways. But at the same time, I realize that it's an instrument, it's a tool to get my message out there. So I have to use it. So up until a few months ago, I really didn't answer people's mail. I didn't really get on Twitter, and I would just kind of every once in a while go see what was going on Facebook. And that's because I'm so disgusted with what I see. So you can't confuse popularity with genuineness. You can't confuse the popularity of someone, a public figure or a internet influencer, as they call it now. You can't confuse that with genuineness. So my only thing I would say is don't think people don't believe in Satan because they want to be wealthy or powerful. Satan's a god of the material world, and Satan's not about guilt. Just like I see some female Satanists and I see male Satanists doing the same thing. They'll say to some girl, "Oh, you're a slut because you like having sex," or satanic women will say, "Oh, that guy's all about sex. That's all he wants," and they'll make them feel guilty because they have a high libido, and that's not right. That's not satanic. Satanists don't slut shame people. They don't shame people for wanting to be powerful or wealthy. That's always been a part of Satanism. That's part of the reason why a lot of people go to Satan, because they believe that he won't judge them. He doesn't have that Christian morality, and he doesn't. He doesn't judge people based on, if they want to be wealthy or powerful or get laid or whatever it is. He judges them based on how sincere they are when they deal with him, I think, based on what I've seen. If you're respectful of the demons, they will be respectful of you. If you're genuine in the way you approach them, and you do genuinely want to, if you genuinely want to serve them, I can't speak today. If you genuinely want to serve them, then they will help you. There's nothing wrong with any of these things, but if that's the only reason you're a Satanist, that's when it becomes wrong. So if you're in Satanism to make money off of people, just to make money off of people, then that's wrong. If you're in a satanic group or in a leadership position just because you want power and just because you want position, that's wrong. If you're in a position where you use people for your own sexual pleasure and that's your motivation, that's when it becomes wrong. You see, it's all about the motivation behind it, not the action itself. So my position is, and this is satanic morals to me. Again, this is my point of view based on what I've experienced with the demonic, based on what I've experienced in satanic groups. I believe that, say, if someone wants to have, if a girl wants to have 3 boyfriends, she wants to have an open relationship where she is in a polyamorous relationship, or a guy wants to be in a relationship where he's polyamorous, that's perfectly fine. If they want to be monogamous, that's fine too. Whatever they want to do is their business, as long as they don't disrespect Satan while they're doing it. That's my issue. That's what I've seen. If you can live your life the way you want to, if you can accomplish your goals the way you want to, without disrespecting Satan and without disrespecting Satan's children and taking advantage of them, I have no problem with you. It's when you deliberately abuse people, when you deliberately hurt people and use their religion and their belief and their faith against them. I had a friend of mine tell me a story about a guy who met a girl who claimed to be a Satanist, and she was basically, it was a bunch of guys that scammed him out of money, and by putting up pictures and claiming to be a Russian girl wanting to look for a husband and come to the United States, and it was a scam, and they took all his money and everything, and that happens, man. And that's why I tell you guys to be careful. I mean, to give you an example, I have this in my own family. One of my family members is not young, but younger than me, and they constantly put their personal information on social media. They constantly put pictures of their kids and their information and pictures of all their friends and all that stuff. And it's like, dude, especially if you're a young woman, it's like, it's not a good idea to just be so free with all your information. Now, I'm not trying to scare anybody away from Satanism. I'm just trying to tell you these things happen, ladies and gentlemen. These things happen. People get scammed all the time. And all I'm telling you is it's okay to make money as long as you do it in a transparent way. As long as you're honest with your audience and you say, look, this is what I'm trying to do, or I'm trying to make a living for myself, and I have these products to offer. And if you're interested in them, that's cool. If you're not, that's cool. As long as you're transparent with your audience and you're honest with them, I don't think there's any problem at all. But when you're charging somebody $100 for a book that's not even worth $10, or you're charging somebody ridiculous, outrageous prices for seminars. I heard from somebody that some people are charging like $1,500 to teach a basic course on Satanism. Do you know how insane that is? Do you know how ridiculous that is? Do you know that the idea that anybody could teach you anything worth $1,500, I'd be willing to bet money that they just took it out of books that you can buy at the bookstore any day of the week. Do not spend $1,500 on a fucking Satanism course. Because the reason I know about this is because somebody on Twitter told me about it, and I appreciate that they told me about it, because I would never charge somebody $1,500 for a course. I would never charge a fellow Satanist that. Now, I would charge enough money to make it worth my while if I wanted to make a living, or needed extra money, but I'm not going to charge $1,500 fucking dollars. Are you out of your mind? There's nothing that any of these idiots on the internet would know more than me that I would ever pay any of them for $1,500. I've probably forgotten more than most of these people ever know. So fuck them. I would never pay them that money. And they're fucking con artists and they're scammers, and somebody needs to go kick their fucking ass. Honestly. I hope one day some Satanist does get them in a dark alley and kick the shit out of them for being fucking such hypocrites and such fucking liars and such fucking losers, and for being such assholes to use Satan's name like that. That's what I think about it, honestly. It's ridiculous. And that's why I say we got to start building communities so we can protect our own, so we can take care of our own, so that we can actually help each other and protect people from this shit. Don't buy into this shit. Don't let these people do this to you. Stop letting people take advantage of you. Be a little smarter. Think before you do stuff. Don't just buy into somebody's shit because they're on the internet. Don't even, you don't even have to listen to me. Judge me based on what I do, not what I say, based on whether I'm doing stuff. That's one of the reasons why I'm trying to do this right now. I'm trying to build up the trust with my audience to show them that I mean every word I say, that I'm dedicated to this, that I mean it. And the way I'm doing that is by trying to be consistent with my podcast, by trying to be transparent with you guys, by trying to actually start up, a ministry, by trying to start up social media things and doing things, because I want you to understand that I'm not just a man of words. I want to be a man of action. And as somebody used to tell me long ago, Satanists are people of action, not words. And we need to get back to that philosophy. We need to get back to taking action, doing something, practicing our religion, actually living it, breathing it, and recreating the old traditions and the old ways. And I'm trying to do that slowly, build up the community. And I know it's going to take a while because a lot of people have been hurt in this religion. They don't trust anybody anymore. I don't trust hardly anybody anymore. So it's going to take me some time to build up the trust with you guys and show you that I mean what I say. And it's going to take time for you to believe what I say. And the only way I can do that is through my actions. You're going to sit there and you're going to judge me and you're going to say, hey, I wonder if Nero is really serious about this. I wonder if he's serious about being a minister. And I can only do that over time. And the other thing I want to say before I close this episode, which will be in just a second because we're running long today, is that, I know that some of the people that write to me and praise me and, big me up and say, oh, Nero, you're great. I know some of them are trolls. I know some of them are probably trolls from other satanic organizations that I've been a part of or their leaders are associated with. So I don't even trust the positive comments, all of them. But I know there's a lot of genuine people out there. So all I can do is do the work that Satan gave me to do and trust that he'll lead genuine people to this podcast and help me to achieve these things if it be his will. We've got to get back to having faith in the demons, faith in the power that they have, and have faith that they'll guide us in the right directions and not worry about things so much. One of the reasons why nobody wants to get together, one of the reasons why we can't manage to get events together is because nobody trusts anybody anymore. And at some point, each one of us has to take a leap of faith and put our fate in the hands of Satan and say, Satan, I hope you'll protect me and I hope you'll guide me in the right directions. Because until we do that, we're never going to get a community together. We're never going to get anywhere. We're never going to achieve anything. We have to change the way we think, and we have to start putting our faith in the demons and in Satan. And if you're not willing to do that, then you're not a fucking religious Satanist. I'm sorry, but you're not. Anyway, that's it for today, guys. Until next time, may Satan be with you. And as always, I'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening to the Dark Illumination Report podcast. For the latest news headlines, show information, and more, go to rjwomack.com. That's rjwomack.com.